Georgia doesn't get a channel of its own the way Kentucky does, or Tennessee. Nobody's running these listings every week, which might be exactly why 8 of them still don't add up. A single parcel holding 3 separate houses under one price. 64 acres sitting under a brick ranch, priced like the acreage doesn't exist. And at the very bottom of this list, a duplex that's already collecting rent before anyone's even closed on it. I run these 8 the same way I run every state: land first, then the town, then whatever the price is hiding. We start at $197,000 and end at $40,000. I'm Tony. I run the numbers before I show you anything. That's the one part of this that never changes. Subscribe if you want next week's list before it goes up. I need to tell you there are 3 houses here before I tell you anything else, because the number stops making sense any other way. 1 parcel, 10.58 acres, 3 separate homes standing on it, each right around 1,000 square feet, and 1 price tag covering all 3. That parcel sits outside Sylvester, the kind of town that spent decades getting called sleepy and only recently started arguing with that description. It's the Worth County seat, standing since the 1890s, and it earned the nickname peanut capital of the world honestly. The crop still grows on the edge of town, and the whole place turns out every year for a festival built entirely around it. One local broker put it plainly: the town's been frozen for decades, and it's just now waking up. Albany is 25 minutes away for anything bigger. Columbus is 2 hours in the other direction. Daily life happens inside Sylvester itself. Walk the property and you get 3 arguments for the same number. The first house is clearly still tended: trimmed shrubs, a screened porch, a yard mowed on a schedule. The second wears its history louder: wicker furniture and wind chimes on the porch, a place that's been lived in, not staged. The third is the honest one: rust across the tin roof, siding gone in spots, wood showing through where nobody's patched it yet. Inside, the layouts are simple and nearly identical: narrow galley kitchens, wood-paneled ceilings, a bathroom with a tiled tub built for function over flourish. Nothing fancy in any of them. Nothing that needs to be. Sylvester's crime score runs 56.1, well above the national average of 35.4. The materials list includes asbestos siding on at least 1 structure, and the third house needs real exterior work before anybody moves a family in. That's not a small note. Budget for it. In Atlanta, $197,000 gets you a down payment and a long commute. Here, it gets you 3 roofs, 3 addresses, and 10 acres to put them on. 3 houses, 1 parcel, 6 bedrooms total, 3 bathrooms, 10.58 acres, well water, Worth County. $197,000. $3 roofs under 1 deed isn't common arithmetic. The next property drops $12,000 while somehow getting less complicated. 1 house, 1 story, an evaluation that doesn't match its own asking price at all. From the road, you drive right past it. The house sits far enough into the trees that the driveway curves twice before you ever see the roofline: a weathered gray board, a green metal roof, a red door that's the only color visible through the leaves. Outside Dalton, in the foothills of the Blue Ridge, is where this driveway leads, a part of northwest Georgia most people know for exactly one thing: carpet. Dalton's carried the title carpet capital of the world for generations, and the mills are still the reason a lot of the town gets up in the morning. Chattanooga is half an hour north if you need it. Everything daily, groceries, doctors, the ordinary stuff, sits 10 minutes from this driveway. Whoever lived here refused to let the woods pick the mood. The kitchen is mustard yellow with a tin-patterned backsplash, the kind of color you either love immediately or never would have chosen. No in-between with a wall like that. Down the hall, a bedroom goes bright cobalt blue, and the open living space runs into a coral accent wall standing right next to a red front door, colors that have no business working together and somehow do anyway. Underneath the house, a basement garage runs the same 1,900 square feet as the home above it, room for a workshop. Out back, a separate covered pavilion sits deeper in the trees, ceiling fan still turning, a spot nobody mentioned before now but somebody clearly built to sit in. This one is cash or commercial financing only, no conventional mortgage on this parcel, so plan the funding before you plan the moving truck. The estimated value on this house runs $367,700. The asking price sits at less than half of that number. That's not a typo, and it's not a small gap either. 5 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 1,904 square feet, 5 acres, matching basement garage, cash or commercial financing only. $185,000. The forest picked the location. Whoever lives here gets to pick everything else. One thing I want to know before we go further, are you already looking at land in Georgia, or is this the state that just showed up on your radar? Tell me below. The next property has 64 acres attached to a single ranch house. And by the time you see the yard, you'll understand why the asking price looks like a mistake. I need to say the acreage number twice, because the first time I read it, I assumed it was a typo. 64 acres, not 6.4. 64 attached to a 3-bedroom brick ranch. The address sits in East Columbus, a few minutes from Columbus State University and about 15 minutes from Fort Benning. It's the kind of neighborhood that mixes mid-century ranches with newer builds, tree-covered streets, and prices that run under the rest of the city for no reason other than the map hasn't caught up yet. Downtown Columbus and the Chattahoochee Riverfront are close enough for a Tuesday errand, far enough that you'd never guess it from the yard. This house is still somebody's house. Moving boxes stacked in the hallway, a dog crate by the door, the kind of lived-in mess a stylist would clear out before anyone official walked through. Past the boxes, a brick fireplace anchors the den, dark laminate floors run through the main living space, and a formal dining room holds a dark wood table that's clearly seen 30 years of dinner. The kitchen carries stainless steel and a gas range, and the primary bedroom gets its own separate tub and shower, a comfort most houses at this price don't bother with. Out back, a trampoline sits at the edge of a cleared yard, and past that, the tree line takes over completely. That's where the yard stops being a yard and starts being 64 acres, most of it standing timber you'd need to walk to actually understand. This is a house somebody's actively living in and moving out of, which means showings take coordinating, not a walk-in-anytime kind of situation. In Atlanta, $175,000 barely covers a condo down payment. Here, it's a brick house and enough land that you could lose an afternoon just walking the property line. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 1,640 square feet, brick construction, den with fireplace, fenced yard, 64 acres. $175,000. The land is the argument here. Everything else is a house that happens to come with it. The next property was a plant nursery once, and some of that old infrastructure is still standing in the yard. This place used to grow things for a living before anyone thought about selling it as a house. Behind the fence line, a commercial hoop house is still standing, along with the chain-link bays that once sorted seedlings by type. Martin is a small town in the far northwest corner of Georgia, about 700 people, rolling hills, farmland running in every direction. There's a festival every summer built around the town's own history, the kind of event where everybody actually shows up. Atlanta is 90 minutes out if you need it. Nobody out here is driving that far on a Tuesday. Walk inside and you're walking into a renovation that stopped mid-sentence. One room has the subfloor exposed, plywood underfoot, walls stripped down to stud-ready. 2 rooms over, the old floral wallpaper is still hanging like nobody's gotten to it yet. A double vanity bathroom sits half-finished, the mirror leaning against the wall instead of mounted on it. A second kitchen sits in what looks like an old caretaker's addition, dated but functional, the kind of setup that works as a rental unit or a mother-in-law space once the main house is finished. This isn't a house waiting to be renovated, it's a house somebody already started on and stopped partway through. This one is sold as is, cash purchase only, no owner financing, and it needs real work before it's finished, not just cosmetic touch-ups. In Atlanta, $150,000 is a rounding error on a down payment. Here, it's 5 gated acres and a house that's most of the way to done. 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 1,216 square feet, gated entrance, 5 acres, active renovation in progress, cash only, $150,000. The next property splits itself in 2, one kitchen still wearing decades of rust, the other stripped down to bare board, waiting on the same decision this one already made. I need to say this is 2 structures grown into one before I describe a single room, because nothing else about this property makes sense without that fact first. A single wide with additions built onto it over the years, sitting on 5 acres under a stand of old pecan trees. Baconton is deep in South Georgia, mild winters, a slower pace, the kind of place people describe as traditional Southern charm because that phrase actually still applies here. Albany is 20 minutes up the road for anything the town itself doesn't carry. Columbus is 2 hours in the other direction, which tells you how far off the interstate corridor this part of the state sits. The property runs two separate kitchens, and they tell two different stories. One still has its original white cabinets and a refrigerator gone rust-colored with age, the kind of kitchen that makes you wonder why the rest of the house is still at this price. The other is stripped to bare particle board, waiting on somebody's decision about what replaces it. One bedroom has a bay window looking out over the yard and a closet painted bright pink, clearly built for a kid who got a say in the color. Down the hall, a beamed ceiling opens into a room with a brick fireplace and French doors, the most finished space on the whole property, and the strongest argument that this place is worth the work. Baconton's crime score runs 50.4, above the national average of 35.4. Worth knowing, worth moving on from. This one is sold as is, cash or conventional financing only, and the second structure needs real finishing work. New flooring's already started in places, but it isn't done. In Columbus, $114,000 buys a small condo. Here it buys two structures, 5 fenced acres, and a stone fireplace room that's already finished. 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 1,919 square feet, 5.7 fenced acres, 2 kitchens, stone fireplace room. $114,900. Most of the work here already happened. What's left is one decision, not a renovation. This one splits down the middle depending on who you are. A family needs both kitchens working today. An investor just needs one of them to already work, and one of them already does. The next property has a pool sitting in the backyard. Not a fixed one, not a working one, but the kind of shape dug into the ground that tells you exactly what this place used to be on a summer afternoon. This is the one I keep coming back to, and it's not because of the house, it's because of the pool. Kidney-shaped, still holding water, gone green with years of nobody maintaining it, sitting behind a brick ranch that time seems to have simply stopped agreeing to move forward with. Same stretch of Worth County as the first property on this list, Sylvester, easing its way out of a long, quiet stretch. I won't repeat the whole story here. What matters for this address? 25 minutes to Albany, 2 hours to Columbus, same as before. Step inside and the 1970s never left. Green shag carpet runs through nearly every room, stained and worn thin along the walking paths. The primary bathroom is entirely pink. Pink tile, pink tub, pink sink, untouched, unbothered, the exact color somebody chose decades ago and nobody's had a reason to argue with since. A natural stone fireplace runs floor to ceiling in the living room, the kind of masonry that took real time to build. The old bedroom furniture is still here, a mirrored curio cabinet, a dresser with brass pulls, like the last owner stepped out and never quite came back for it. The kitchen still carries its original wood cabinets and a double-wall oven, the kind of setup nobody's ripped out because there was never a real reason to. Out back, a detached carport shares the same brick as the house, and beyond it, the yard runs wide enough that the pool doesn't dominate the whole view. There's room out here for more than just water. The pool hasn't been maintained in years and needs a full restoration before it holds clean water again. Budget for that the same way you'd budget for a roof. In Dalton, $79,000 barely covers a down payment on a starter home. Here, it's a brick ranch, nearly 6 acres, and a pool shape already dug into the ground. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2,183 square feet, 5.74 acres, in-ground pool needing restoration, brick construction, $79,900. Somebody decorated this house once and never came back to update the decision. That's not a flaw. That's a time capsule with a price on it. The next property looks finished from every angle, new floors, new fixtures, a stone fireplace that wasn't cheap to build. And then you get to the porch and the whole story changes. I need to tell you the inside of this house looks nothing like what $49,000 usually buys, because if I save that detail for later, you'll think I'm exaggerating. This one sits just outside Rome, a town that started on the slopes of 7 hills at the bend of 3 rivers, which is exactly how it earned the name. Rome sits in a near-perfect triangle between Chattanooga, Atlanta, and Birmingham, close enough to all 3 that none of them really pull at it. It's the largest city in Floyd County, a real downtown, real hospitals, a regional airport 7 minutes away. Trailers sit close on either side here. This is a real manufactured home neighborhood, not a scattered rural lot. Somebody already did the hard part here. New flooring runs through every room, honey-toned cabinets and mosaic tile fill the kitchen, and a stacked stone fireplace anchors the living room, the kind of feature you don't expect at this number. Both bathrooms carry updated vanities and fresh fixtures, and the primary bedroom has vaulted, beamed ceilings that make the room feel taller than the square footage suggests. But walk out to the screened porch, and the story changes fast. Bare plywood overhead, open studs, screens that aren't fully mounted yet. Somebody finished the inside and ran out of momentum right at the back door. Here's the part that changes the math on this one completely. This sits inside a manufactured home community, and the lot itself carries a $600 monthly charge that covers water and garbage. You're buying the house. You're not buying the ground under it, and that payment never stops. The price already dropped $5,800 back in April. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, fully renovated interior, stacked stone fireplace, manufactured home community, $600 monthly lot rent, $48,999. Everything inside this house says somebody already did the work. The ground underneath says read the fine print before you fall for the floors. The last property on this list is the only one already making money before anyone's bought it. A tenant's paying rent on half of it right now today. I need to tell you this house already has a tenant before I tell you anything else about it, because that fact changes what this $40,000 number actually means. Century-old homes, walking distance to the Flint River, and a stretch of small restaurants. This is a 2-family duplex, and the 2 sides tell completely different stories. A magnolia out front is already in bloom, and a green trash bin sits at the curb. Small, ordinary signs that somebody is actively living here, not just holding the place empty. Side B is lived in and working, a tenant's belongings in the kitchen, a stocked refrigerator, a small porch with chairs still out front. Side A is the honest half. Original hardwood floors scratched and worn, a brick fireplace with a rusted grate, a bathroom with the wiring still exposed and water sitting rust-colored in the tub. One side is finished. One side is waiting. The price already dropped $25,000 back in June, and there's already a tenant covering part of the mortgage before you've even made an offer. Side B rents for $580 a month right now today to a tenant already living there. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 1,780 square feet, 2-family duplex, tenant-occupied side B at $580 a month, $40,000. Somebody's already paying rent here. That's Georgia, top to bottom. 3 houses on one Sylvester parcel, 64 acres holding up a brick ranch outside Columbus, a 5-acre former nursery still growing back into a house in Martin, 2 structures fused into one in Baconton, a pool with a story dug right into the yard, back in Sylvester again, a fully renovated double-wide outside Rome, land rent and all, and a duplex in Albany already collecting rent on half of it before anyone's bought it. Every one of these has been sitting active while somebody, somewhere, keeps telling themselves Georgia's already too expensive to bother looking at. You didn't do that today. You made it all the way to the bottom of a list most people wouldn't finish and found the number that actually works for you even if you haven't said it out loud yet. All 8 are linked below with the notes and the town details from every property in this video. I'm Tony. I do this state by state, one list at a time, and I don't stop until the numbers stop making sense. Subscribe if you want next week's list before anyone else sees it. Which one of these 8 would you actually call about? The duplex already paying you back, the acreage nobody else is talking about, or is this the first property you've ever seriously looked at? Tell me which number and tell me why.